Well, each week, a group of insiders joins me to offer perspective on some of the week's top stories. This week, sounding off on state and local officials stepping in as United Technologies makes huge layoff announcements both in Indianapolis and in northern Indiana and Huntington. Plus, plans unveiled for a global sports medicine complex at the old Indianapolis International Airport. And the Colts will play the first preseason game next year, the Hall of Fame game. Special meeting for the Colts. We'll talk about that as well. Our insiders this week are Hathaway Strategies President Ann Hathaway and a couple of newcomers to the insiders. Not new to our show, though. Genova's Managing Director Larry Gigerich and Huntingburg Mayor Denny Spinner. And welcome one and all to the insiders. And we'll start, and Larry is an economic development guy. That's your business. This whole United Technologies announcement. Carrier Corporation in Indianapolis, a subsidiary, 1,400 jobs to Mexico. UTech in Huntington, 700 jobs. So in one day, United Technologies says it's going to move 2,100 jobs from Indiana to Mexico. First of all, did the announcement itself, we don't hear about that kind of thing much anymore. We used to a lot. It doesn't seem to happen much. Did it surprise you at all?
It did, partly because you've not seen that industry going to Mexico like other industries have over time. So I think from that perspective, it was surprising. And Indiana has done so well in the manufacturing area, it's been gaining, not losing. So it was a big surprise.
How about the way it was handled? Because United Technologies and Carrier, they really didn't say much. They said, well, we're moving to be closer to suppliers and customers, and there are regulatory issues. And I think they brought up the wage, which was huge, a wage discrepancy, $20 an hour versus, I think, $3 to $6 an hour. How about the way they handled it? Because I understand it, they either didn't call or gave like a last-minute call to local and state officials.
Yeah, it sure seems it was handled very poorly as you look at it. And as I understand it, both from local and state officials, they did receive a phone call just a few hours before it was announced to their employees, which is highly unusual. Usually there's conversation ahead of time so people are prepared, and there's an opportunity, if there's anything that could be done to save that facility, that they take those actions.
Yeah, and as you look at the fallout and what's going to happen over the course of, I guess, the next 3 years, in Indianapolis, 1,400 jobs, Huntington, 700 jobs, a lot of jobs to assimilate into a community. What happens next, do you think?
Well, I think we have to worry about the families. We have to really think ahead. Can they be displaced? Can they be retrained? You know, this is where the mayor and his folks are going to be critical, both locally, statewide. We've got a lot to worry about.
Yeah. Mayor, as you look at something like this, you know, what are your thoughts as you saw this play out and thinking about what things that need to be done?
Well, I'm a member of the Work One Southwest Indiana Board, so that's, you know, these are the type of issues that we look at all the time. And again, the key element here is the worker. What do we do to make that transition? I think one of the things that with workforce development here in Indiana and the systems that are in place, we got to make sure that these workers that are Hoosiers realize there are opportunities still in Indiana to continue their career, to find a right place for them to be. There's a lot of good opportunities here in the Hoosier State, southwestern Indiana. We have a great opportunity. We have very low unemployment rates in the Evansville, Princeton, Huntingburg, Jasper area, where there are jobs available. And making that available to them, showing them that opportunity still exists here in our state, and finding the right to transition for them is very, very vital.
Well, how about that? Because you look down in Huntingburg and you're close to Jasper, and you got the office furniture manufacturers and Jasper Engines. You got a lot of companies down there looking for workers. So workforce is a big issue.
And the manufacturing types of jobs that this is something that as our industries have been very successful in our area, we're losing those workers by the fact that they're growing older, and that having that manufacturing base, that type of job is still a very vital part of our economy in Indiana, and not only in southwestern Indiana, but across the state.
Yeah, and your business is politics. As you look at a big issue like this, as you look at whether it's state leadership, local leadership in an issue like this, political implications too.
Huge political implications. We need a lot of communication with everybody, the businesses, the mayors, the local elected officials. There's just so much with regard to paying attention to the mayor's point, the families. We want to keep them in Indiana.
Yep. Larry, final question on this. Some wonder, hey, is this part of a trend, you know, manufacturing, you know, headed south again? It seems to be kind of atypical of what's been going on.
Yeah, there's been a lot of reshoring that's occurred in the manufacturing industry. You've seen some also come back from China. to the United States. And I think Mexico, because of the environment down there in terms of security and other concerns, companies think long and hard about whether to invest there. And I think that's another reason why this was surprising.
Yeah. Another big story this week here in central Indiana, in Indianapolis, a lot of focus on the old Indianapolis International Airport site for proposals to redevelop that site. The airport came out with their recommendations, proposals this week. One of them would be for ultimately a $500 million sports medicine campus to focus on brain health and those types of things for both athletes and veterans. Also a more traditional development on part of it. Larry, this is a really ambitious, or is a very ambitious plan in terms of numbers, 500 million, what they want to do and create this global brain center, but also hotels and sports stadiums and that kind of thing. Your take, at least initially, on the plan?
Yeah, I think the key thing is when you look at any project, you have to determine whether it's the highest and best use for land, and also is it something that can be financed. And I think that's probably the biggest question at the end of the day. I mean, it sounds like a terrific concept. There's a lot of issues, or a lot of focus around head-related trauma.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to be able to finance a project and pull it off. And as I understand, this is the first time they're trying a project like this. So certainly a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and important to redevelop that property because it's prime property on the west side. And you mentioned the Brain Center proposal, and then another 300 acres that Holiday Properties would develop. How, in your view, Ann, how important is it for that side of town to get the right fit?
It has to be the right fit. We have to do the due diligence on this project for all components. We really just can't afford for anything out on this prime piece of real estate to fail.
Mary, as you look at a project like this, big project, you get approached by different folks for proposals and ideas and that kind of thing. Any thoughts you have?
I would agree with that. Due diligence is the key here. I mean, I think that the excitement of the announcement brings a lot of questions to mind, but I think that the systems are in place from local government, from the city of Indianapolis. I'm sure that they'll be wanting to ask the right questions to really make sure, as already been said, this is the right fit. There's a lot of opportunities in Indiana and across our state in land that is undeveloped or needs to be redeveloped, and making the right choices, following the steps, and not getting too excited about the announcement, but just following through and making sure that we made wise decisions for everybody who's investing in this.
Also saw news this week on mass transit, on transportation-related issues in Northwest Indiana. The South Shore infrastructure projects for the South Shore commuter rail line approved, about $9 million. Also in Northwest Indiana, Portage is looking at transit service in that community as well. Big issue here in central Indiana. Mayor, as you look at transportation issues, Huntingburg is a small community in southwest Indiana, but in a broader region there in the Evansville area. Transportation issues big in your part of the state?
If you watch the legislature right now, Gary, you can see that one of the top items of discussion is transportation funding as it comes to roads, as it comes to all these other issues that we're talking about. You know, we say proudly as Indiana as being the crossroads of America, and if our roads are not adequate to provide that crossroads, we've really got a chore to do. There's a lot of great proposals as a mayor of a local community and being engaged with our legislature right now. Having that discussion is very, very important. It's on the table, and we as mayors, we met yesterday, we love the engagement that our legislature is recognizing this, but we need what we see out there now is what can be done to maintain where we are. We need to have a very clear path in the next couple of years of not only maintaining, but where are we going in the future to improve our transportation systems.
How about, Larry, in your view, from an economic development standpoint, you look at mass transit and what's happening here in central Indiana and the Red Line and that type of thing. Where is this? It seems to be happening slower than many people would want anyway. Is this a challenge, a detriment to economic development that we don't have more in the way of mass transit?
It is, and it's really for several reasons. You look at a lot of the younger millennial workers, many of them don't even own cars or have no desire to own cars.
Right.
So you have to be able to move those people around. And I think the other part of it is that you also have mismatches sometimes between where the jobs are and where the people live.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to get the people to where the jobs are if they're looking for those opportunities.
Two sports-related items before we have to sign off. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway now 100 days out from the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. This is truly going to be a special event.
Oh, Oh, it is. And there's nothing like spring in Indiana, the 500, the mini marathon. I think we're all excited.
Yeah.
And this kickoff, the way they're handling it and making
Yep.
it an event in itself,
Yeah.
it's going to be a fun spring and a big 100th
And
anniversary.
And as for someone that's not in the heart of Indianapolis, the 500 is a Hoosier event. It,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
it reaches
that's
every
Absolutely.
corner of the state. I mean, we're excited in Du Bois County.
That's good.
You know.
Absolutely. And the Colts playing in the Hall of Fame game will be very special because Barbara Harrison and Tony Dungy going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity for the Colts organization, and I've already had my 3 sons hit me up to see if we can
Tickets to go over to Canton. Very
Exactly.
good. Very good. Well, the great insiders panel this week: Larry Gigerich, Ann Hathaway, and Mayor Denny Spinner. Thank you all for being here, and we'll be right back.